Hello. I hope you're having a really good time. Yesterday we made our transfer targets list for the upcoming Gameweek 24, and today we're going to be ranking them. Have in mind that all of those players are good transfer targets, but we are going to tier them by priority, and we are going to look at the fixtures, at the minutes wise, if everything is alright. So even if you're in this section, it doesn't mean you're awful, but you're just at maybe worst of the bunch. So we have 34 players, so we have a lot of things to cover. I have players from almost every team in the game, bar some teams. But yeah, Gameweek 24 is just before a double up for Brentford, Manchester City, Liverpool and Luton. We don't have anything confirmed for Chelsea and Spurs, so we are going to treat it like that. They do not have a double up, so the priorities most probably will be lower on those guys. But yeah, let's dive in. To have in mind that in next week Liverpool play Burnley at home, Luton play Sheffield, City play Everton, and Brentford play Wolves. It's a fixture where a lot of the players are going to have alright fixtures, but especially for City, 3 home fixtures in a row. I mean, that's a pretty good fixture run if you have to ask me. But now let's go and dive into the list. We are starting first with Adebayo. This is a forward from Luton. He has scored 4 games in the last 2 games. But the issue with him is that he is blocking forward plays. So you have Darwin, you have Solanke, you have Tony, you have Watkins, you have Haaland. So those are 5 strikers that are way higher priority, at least on my list. The thing for Adebayo is that you can put him as a 8th option. Basically, if you don't have a cheap midfielder but you have a cheap forward, he can be your cheap forward until the rest of the game, because he is 4.9, so that's a pretty cheap price. And I believe with a double fixture and him being a forward, I would rank him as an A type of player. So S is the highest tier, D is the lowest. But yeah, he is an A type of player, maybe not the best nor the worst, but for sure he is a very good option, especially with the double up. Next up is Ross Barkley. The same things go for you, but you have way more midfielders to worry about. You have at least 2 from City, maybe 1 from Liverpool. You have Spurs, you have Chelsea, you have a lot of players. And Ross Barkley, yeah, he's in good form, but he plays for Luton, and for his price of around, how exactly much he was, 4.9, you cannot go much better. But Palmer and Douglas Lewis are around that price, and I believe that they're a better transfer target. But for now I am putting him in B because he has a double up and he is doing pretty alright at the minute. Next up is Harvey Barnes from Newcastle, and this player is going to go into the D department at the moment. Not because he's a bad target or something, but he is just coming back from injury. Newcastle are not stable yet, they're scoring, but for me he is not a top priority for Gameweek 24, and we don't know the status for Gordon yet, so he is playing in the position of Gordon. So for now he is going into the D compartment. Next up is Mateus Cunha. He has been a guy in form and he has played really well, but he has some minuses. First of all, he doesn't have a double up. Second of all, he's a forward, and for the cheaper option of Adebayo, yeah, he doesn't have penalties as well. But for me, Cunha is just a little bit more expensive and not on penalties and not having a double up. And yeah, I would invest in him. As already mentioned, I have between 5 and 6 strikers ahead of him. João Pedro is even ahead of him. So yeah, I am putting him maybe not in the G section because he has been nailed, but a C section for sure. Next up is Darwin Núñez. Liverpool are having, in my opinion, the easiest fixture run, like Burnley, Brentford and Luton. And for me, owning a player from Liverpool is a good thing to do. And for me, Darwin Núñez is at least in higher A. I will put him for now in S tier as a transfer. I know he has been missing a lot of chances, but he, for me, is their most intriguing player to watch. He can score between 1 and 20 points no matter what, and I believe for those weeks he can be a pretty good option to own. Next up is Doughty. Doughty is a he was a 4.5 defender. I haven't checked his price. Yeah, he's still 4.5. He has 6 returns in a row, and for a 4 defender that you can just play in game week 25 or even now against Sheffield United because they're in shambles, I believe he's a way better pick than Adebayo because we have some issues with the defenders. We don't have a clear and obvious path to the best defenders, and for me Doughty is a really strong shout out to go in your lineup. I know he faces Liverpool and Manchester United, but for that 3-week span of fixtures you can get a pretty okay returns. Next up is Stupinian. He, for our knowledge, is already not nailed, and they're leaking defense. It's not a good thing to invest right now in Brighton's defense, specifically, at least in my opinion. But I'm putting him in B section because he is still a Stupinian and he can still score from any position. Next up is Phil Foden. I'm tempted to go with an S rank, but I believe with KDB's return, he didn't look so dangerous in the first 45 minutes. He scored his first goal, it was pretty lucky. Then he get in some good opportunities, but it was a pretty quiet game for him. I'm still putting him in top A. If you have him, don't sell him, but in my opinion there are some more bigger priorities if you can invest in them than Phil Foden at the moment. Next up is Fofana. Fofana is playing for Burnley. They are having Liverpool and then Arsenal, so not the best fixtures. So he is their best player so far, but he for sure is going into the D section at the moment as they are not a team to target. Maybe if they get a double up, he can be a good option, or if there is a big blank week and they're performing, but for now I'm steering away. Next up is Garnacho. Manchester United fixtures are looking juicy. Villa away, but then Luton, Fulham, Everton, Sheffield in next 4 from 6, and Brentford 5 from 7. So Garnacho is a pretty good option. I'll put him below Stupinian, but for sure he is a great option, especially for the price. Maybe after Gameweek 25, but for now I am steering away. Gross, he's on set pieces, but no, I don't think they are going to face such easier oppositions like, okay, they play Sheffield and Fulham, and Nottingham, so maybe their attacking threat is going to be higher, but I believe he is below Garnacho. I just don't believe in his capabilities at the moment to produce a big threat at the moment, and that's what we want now, high explosive players that can destroy anyone basically. So Gross is not in that category. Erling Haaland, I'm just put him at top of S. I know that it's strange to say that he is an immediate priority, but in my opinion he is, with 3 home fixtures from City and a potential triple captain in Gameweek 25 when they face Brentford and Chelsea, who has been leaky. I believe that he is a great option. By the way, a Liverpool player for triple captaincy is a good shout out as well, but I'm most probably going to believe in Haaland, if I have to be perfectly honest. And if I'm using that chip, so for now Haaland is being a top priority. Next up we have Gabriel. Arsenal are flying at the moment and they face Burnley and Sheffield. In the next 2 from 4 they face West Ham away, so I believe Gabriel is going to get a lot of clean sheets, and for me without a double up he doesn't qualify for a very high rank, because I cannot see me putting anyone that do not have a double up in a most important transfer target, so I'm putting him below Estupinian. He's nailed, but he has far less of attacking returns, so Gabriel and Estupinian make the B rank here. Next up is Cole Palmer. I'm putting him top of B. We don't have a confirmed double up from Chelsea, so I wouldn't take it to my priority to get the Spurs players. Next up is Hinzelwood. He's a 4.5 option, but now it's not the time to put in a 4.5 options. Maybe if you cannot afford to go to Haaland without selling someone and you need a 4.5 player, Hinzelwood is a great option, but as a priority transfer, no way. He's right here. Next up is João Pedro. João Pedro is on penalties and is better appeal than Cunha, so I'm putting him above Kroos because he's on penalties, but below Garnacho because Garnacho seems nailed, and with his cheapest price you can not think of a 4.5 player but just go for Garnacho. Like he is worth 4.8, so instead of going for a 4.5 midfielder you can just invest in Garnacho, and that should be a really good way to have a player that can put in easier fixtures and basically an 8 attacker from in Garnacho's form. Next up is Ben Johnson. I put him here because he seems like a player out of position, but we don't have anything confirmed and he stands in the bottom of the list. Next up is Diogo Jota. For me, he had a bad game against Arsenal, but he has been the most clinical player from Liverpool side, so I am putting him in below Foden, no, above Foden. Foden isn't getting in so many dangerous opportunities and Jota can seem to score from anywhere. Next up we are going with Ward-Prowse. Ward-Prowse is going into the C section immediately above Cunha because he's on penalties, but he isn't as explosive as I would like my players to be at that stage of the game, so I'm putting him here. Next up is KDB. For me, he is the third player that should go in the S department. If you have the money to afford him, you can go for him. There is a reason why Salah and Son are not involved in that list yet, because for Gameweek 24 I don't think they are coming back. But for next fixture, Gameweek 25, maybe they're an option. Spurs doesn't seem to get a double up in Gameweek 25. That means that somewhere between Gameweek 26 and 29 there is a possibility for them to get a double up, so maybe we should start investing in their team at that moment. But for now I am not going to look to buy some of their players. Like those 4 teams are looking, 3 teams and Brentford are the most likely to get transferred a lot this week. Next up is Wamchi. He is looking like getting into form. I wouldn't believe in him so much at the moment because he hasn't proven himself with the fitness, so I'm putting him above Hinzelwood but below Fofana because Fofana is a forward. Maybe those guys are going to be for the future, but for now they get only a shout out. Next up is Højlund. Højlund is an interesting pick. I would rate him highly, but even below Cunha because he hasn't proven himself so much. Yeah, he's scoring 4 in a row, but we have so many strikers ahead of him and I wouldn't be interested in picking him. Garnacho is hard because he's a cheap midfielder. Next up is Maddison. I know in my team I already brought in Maddison, but I wouldn't want to miss the Spurs attacking returns. Even though that they are not having a game as it looks in Gameweek 25, they still face Brighton and Wolves, which is more than okay for me, but I wouldn't buy them immediately. For sure he is a top priority after Gameweek 25, maybe after 26 even, because he has a single game week then, but for now he is in the B section. Alex Moreno, with the return of Gine being so close, I am putting him in C section. The other guys in D section are not proven enough. He is proven, but he is not nailed, so he gets the notch here. McCarthy, he is a 4.5 midfielder from Sheffield. As we already stated, Garnacho is the best cheap midfielder at the moment, so I am not rating him highly. I'm rating him above Hinzelwood because he's not blocking a Brighton spot, but he seems to score less than Hinzelwood, so they can be interchanging. Next up is Pedro Neto. With so many midfielders up for grabs, I don't see him as a great option, so I'm putting him in C section. Next up is Solanke, one of the forwards that I've already mentioned several times. There is a high possibility for Bournemouth to get a double up somewhere between Gameweek 26 and 29. So here I would highly recommend some of the players invest in Solanke, because if he has a double up, it's going to be a great thing for you to own him. So I will put him above Garnacho, above Gabriel. Yeah, here is the right place. Maybe I will get him after Gameweek 27. We have to see. But for now he remains there. Next up is Richarlison. I'm going to be a little bit controversial, but I'm dropping him below Garnacho. The reason is that soon enough Son is going to be back into the fold, and the only players not being rotated in my opinion are going to be Son and Maddison. Richarlison main minutes may suffer, his penalties output will suffer, so I wouldn't go and just get him. at the minute. Next up is Trent. If you're looking for a defender for the double up, it's Trent, but he's way more expensive that for the liking for a lot of players, and with Son and salary returning is going to be difficult for a lot of people to put him in their lineups. So I'm putting him in A. If you have the money and you don't have anything else to do with them, you can go for him, but for now I'm steering away. Next up is Ivan Toney, and I am going to put him as an S section. I'm putting Brentford player here. I know the fixtures are not likely to lead to something, but Wolves away, Liverpool at home, and City away, he can cause damage everywhere. So I'm just believing in him, but it wouldn't be my top priority if I have to be honest. I would prefer much more the Darwin spot as a striker. For now, he's still on penalties. Szoboszlai is out. Salah is out, so maybe against Burnley he can take a penalty and this time not hit the woodwork. We have to see. Next up is Ollie Watkins, and for me he is the top of B section, not because he's not good for A section, but because he doesn't have a double up, and for me a priority for the next 2 game weeks should be a top double game week players for you guys, so I wouldn't be worried about anything at the minute. Regarding Ollie Watkins, next up is Kieran Trippier. He is going into the C section below Moreno. Yeah, here he is a good defender, he's playing well, but Newcastle were conceding way too many goals and opportunities, so until I see some improvements, he is a no-go for me. Next up we have Udogi, if they do not have a double up, is below Richarlison, maybe above him, but for the defenders I would like Estupinian more, Gabriel more, Trent more, Poro is there. I wouldn't buy Poro at the moment because he's looking to be suffering, but yeah, Udogi is a okay pick for your defensive player. And last but not least is Martinelli. He is going into the C section above Moreno because I believe that he is going to get minutes, but he is not nailed there. Smith Rowe, Trossard, Jesus, Nketiah, a lot of players rotating for that spot, third striker spot. Basically Havertz can be involved there, a lot of interchanging, so I wouldn't bet for Martinelli. So that wraps up the list. For me, the top transfer targets for you guys should be Haaland, Darwin, KDB or Toney. If you own at least 2 of them, I wouldn't worry and get more of them, because 2 seems like an okay number because you need more and more players. From J section, if you own at least 1, it's a good thing. From B section, you can own a lot of players because a team like Spurs is having Brighton at home, that means goals. A team like Newcastle means Forest away. A team like Chelsea means Crystal Palace away, so there are going to be goals in this game for sure. So I wouldn't worry so much if you invest in some of those players, but for now I will be prioritizing S tier as a bunch. As you can see, I have the money to go from Archer to Darwin. Yes, I have just about, and I believe I'm going to do it. This means that in game week 25 against Fulham away, Douglas Lewis will be benched, but yeah, I cannot get all the points. The other players are looking amazing. And if I pick Darwin Núñez, he'll have a home fixture against Burnley. As you can see, I'm considering Trent as a captain, but if I get Darwin, I'm most probably going to captain him. I like the chaos and I want that chaos to deliver. Maybe Haaland is a great option, but I want to be a little bit differential this week. I have an opportunity with Angry Liverpool who has been hurt. So yeah, I believe that wraps up the video. This is the final state of my tier list. I hope you enjoy it. I know you've seen some tier lists elsewhere, but if you enjoy my point of view and want to see more of my analysis, you can subscribe to the channel. All of your help is much appreciated. I'm aiming for 700 subscribers by the end of the season. Like the video, write down a comment if you like those tier lists and you want to see more. But for now guys, I'll be heading out. Bye.